Welcome you all for our history online class. Dear student, today in our history period we are going to start our new chapter. The chapter is very interesting, so watch the video very carefully. Today you will learn about Gupta Empire and the three main rulers of Gupta Empire: Chandragupta I, Samudragupta and Chandragupta II. Chandragupta II is also called as Vikramaditya, and we'll talk about their achievements. Dear students, today we'll discuss about the 3rd century. 3rd century is also called as a dark age of ancient Indian history. What's the reason behind this? Reason is that historians have very little knowledge about the 3rd century, so they call this dark age. We get information about Gupta period from the Allahabad pillar, remains of temples, coins, paintings, then records of the Chinese traveler Fahian and the great poet Kalidasa and other famous writers' books. Chandragupta I. Here are few important facts about the first famous ruler Chandragupta I, who ruled from 320 AD to 335 AD. Though in a book it is mentioned that he was the founder of Gupta Empire, but most of the historians believe that Sri Gupta was the real founder of Gupta Empire. After becoming the king, Sri Gupta titled as a Maharaja Dhiraj. It means the king of kings. He had won many wars. He extended his empire through marriage and matrimonial alliance. He married the Lichavi princess named Kumara Devi. With the help of Lichavis, he occupied a high place in India's political setup. Then he extended his empire in the neighboring states like Oudh, Bihar, Tirhat and Allahabad. Students, watch this coin carefully. What do you see on it? You can see that Chandragupta and his wife Kumara Devi standing together. This shows a lot of importance given to marriage. Samudragupta. Chandragupta was one of the ablest kings of ancient India. He was a great conqueror and a lover of art and literature. Chandragupta ruled from 335 AD to 380 AD. Samudragupta was also called as a Napoleon of India, and he is considered to be one of the greatest military genius. Source of Samudragupta's history is an inscription engraved on one of the stone pillars set up by him in Allahabad. Much is known about Samudragupta through coins issued by him. These were of 8 different types and all made of pure gold. Samudragupta is also known to have been a man of culture. Samudragupta was the son of Chandragupta I. Allahabad pillar inscription describes his well. He too expanded Gupta Empire. He is also known as Napoleon of India. He won many wars and was a powerful ruler. He first defeated northern rulers like Mathura, Padmavati, etc. He made 12 South Indian rulers like Odisha, Andhra and Tamil accept his power. Great patron of learning, a celebrated poet and a musician. Several coins depict him playing the Indian veena. He gathered a galaxy of poets and scholars. Follower of Hinduism, he supported other religions also. He performed Ashwamedha sacrifice. He gave permission to the king of Sri Lanka Meghavarman to build Buddhist monastery in Gaya. Now let's learn about Chandragupta II or Vikramaditya. Chandragupta II, the son and the successor of Samudragupta, was also a great conqueror and a powerful ruler. The Gupta Empire rose to its highest point during his time. Achievements from Iron Pillar inscriptions, Mehruli, Delhi, and Fahian, a Chinese pilgrimage, came to India during his reign. He came in India in search of Buddhist manuscript and relics and left some invaluable accounts. Now let's learn more about Chandragupta II. Vikramaditya was the son of Samudragupta. He inherited the military power from his father and extended the Gupta Empire. He defeated Sakas of Gujarat and Kathiawar, hence he was called as a Sakari. Sakari means conqueror of Sakas. For this, he married a Naga princess named Kubernaga and gave the hand of his daughter to the Vakataka prince named Rudrasena II. This alliance had strengthened his position against Sakas. With this victory, he got a sea entry for trade with Europe. Fahian has described about Vikramaditya and his fine administrative skills in detail. Also, an inscription on an iron pillar near Qutub Minar. Delhi describes his victories in Bengal and Afghanistan. Even he loved art and literature. He issued gold coins. Let's take information about Gupta Empire's administration. The Gupta administration can be called an ideal one as it was very mild and liberal. The king accepted the most important position. He ruled the empire with the assistance of ministers and other officials. Empire is called as Rajya and the king is called as Samrat. Provinces called as Bhuktis and a group of officials called as a Kumar Matyas. District called as Vishyas and the district heads called as Vishyapatis. Villages called as Gramas and the village headman called as Gramapati. The village headman used to take advice of the elders of the village. The law was divided into civil and criminal law. Taxes were very low and reasonable. Revenue was 1/4 of the product, which was the main source of income of the state. Government officials were very honest. Society. The people were rich and prosperous. They viewed with each other in giving donations for setting up hospitals and rest houses. They were honest and law-abiding. People belonging to various castes live in harmony with each other. People were vegetarians. Only the Chandals were non-vegetarians, but they had to live outside the cities and were treated as untouchables. Our next point, advancement in literature. The Gupta kings were generous patrons of Sanskrit literature, which once again became the language of the court. The common people spoke Prakrit language. Creativity at its best can be found in the works of the extraordinary poet and dramatist Kalidasa, often referred to as the Shakespeare of India. He wrote Shakuntala, Meghadoot and Vikram Vashaya. Puranas were rewritten and the Mahabharata was edited during this period. Various smritis or law books were also written during this time. Panchatantra, a collection of short stories, and you all read and also enjoy Panchatantra story. Saranath, Vallabhi and Takshila were famous seats of learning. Our next point, Gupta rulers favored the Hindu religion. Hinduism is the dominant religion of India, and Buddhism continued to flourish side by side as the Gupta kings were tolerant of other religions. Idol worship in Hindu temples became common. Gupta rulers gave donation to construct temples. Now, bhakti gained importance in this period. Can anyone tell the meaning of bhakti? It means intense devotion to a personal god. People worship Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna, Surya, and Durga. Lord Krishna were considered as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Christianity was also arised in India, but Hinduism was followed by most of the people. Students, see this picture carefully. Dashavatara temple or Vishnu temple is built out of stone and brick. It was the first North Indian temple with shikhar. The Guptas encouraged education and learning. The greatest contribution was establishment of Nalanda University. It was the first residential university of the world. 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers live here. It was founded by Kumar Gupta. It soon became a great center of Buddhist studies. Shuvanja. The Chinese traveler stayed here for many years. Takshila, Vallavi, Ujjaini, Sarnath were famous universities of that time.